lovelies, Assalamualaikum Linjani. I hope you're keeping well. Today's video is very much a money geared one and it's all about finances. I've got my little assistant on my lap and one in the background, so you're likely to hear them, but I do want to jump straight into it and share 3 tips that have helped me to maintain my credit score and to make sure that it always stays at a good point, especially in light of kind of my monthly reviews with finances, but also more recently in terms of the updates that were shared by the new Chancellor Kwasi Kwarteng. This is a way of just making sure that you're in the best position as we kind of navigate what's happening in our economy and what's changing in the world of finances around you. Rates and inflation and all those different things will have an impact on how you're spending, what you have and how you do things, so all your different habits. One of the key things that I feel like is so important is to ensure that in any time you continue to make your payments reliably. So if you've got direct debits, I always think that's the best way to kind of keep on top of things. If you're forgetful or anything like that, if you set all your direct debits for one day where there is consistency in all the payments you're making, you'll never have anything in your credit score that's coming up as like a late payment or missed payments. And I think for a lot of creditors or companies, if you miss 3 payments consecutively, then that does come up in your credit score. So to avoid that, you just want to make sure that you are really consistent and clear in terms of sticking to the dates that have been set. For anyone that is in financial hardship, you know, the best thing to do, instead of kind of like thinking I'll come to it at a certain point, is actually to call any lenders or creditors and let them know about your circumstances. Sometimes they can like refine your payment arrangements, and that then kind of limits and future proofs you in terms of your credit score, so then you don't have a dent. So if you know you're going to have, you know, a tough couple of months or a tough season, if you negotiate and try and reduce certain bills, that's really helpful instead of just not paying them at all. So yeah, my first tip is definitely to always try your best to continue to pay, even though it might be a reduced amount. Just keep that consistency of the fact that you paid each month. Another crucial thing that I think is really good for developing your credit score, keeping it at a good point, is to actually take more credit out. I know that sounds really crazy when you say it, but the idea is to build your credit score. So they want to see, in terms of lenders, they want to see how financially worthy you are. So in terms of, okay, you've got this type of salary, if we give you this much, are you going to be able to pay it back? And when you're able to use the money, pay it back, a lot of the time they then come back to offer you a bit more. So that happens for people when they have credit cards, for example, or store cards. Essentially for them, it's a benefit if you're spending more with them and paying it back. So they then increase how much you can spend, increase, you know, the times that you have to pay it back. But when lenders are then looking at your credit history and they're looking at who you've been, you know, receiving money from in the past or received credit from, and the fact that you've paid it back, that goes a long way in kind of showing that you're somebody who's reliable. Obviously, the next tip is going to really kind of be an important one. If you're going to have multiple credit options, you just want to make sure that you're using them wisely. But it is important to also consider taking out different types of credit, and there's lots of different tips. Sometimes you can use one monthly so that you can just fill your petrol, for example, and then pay it back. But having that diversity in the type of credit you are taking is also really good. And lastly, the one that I think is super important and key to try and keep on top of is making sure that whatever credit you have, utilize it to like a certain limit. So I like to say, you know, try and keep it at under 50%, and that way it doesn't look like you've maxed it out and then moved on to something else. So you might have, you know, 10% utilization somewhere else. So if you've got £1,000 on a credit card and you've only used 100 here, and then you've got a store card that's a £2,000 store card and you've only used, you know, 500 there, that makes a difference, and it's more manageable for you in terms of paying it back. But it does look really good when your credit utilization is low, and also, you know, keeping in mind interest rates and things like that over time. If you keep having larger lump sums and having the interest rates added to that, it becomes near impossible to kind of pay that back off. So keep that in mind. But those are my 3 tips and what I kind of stick with when it comes to credit and keeping my credit score moving and keeping my credit worthiness up Let me know in the comments below what you guys like to do when it comes to credit. Are you afraid of credit? I know for me personally, in our community, credit was something that is, you know, shunned from, except when it comes to kind of a mortgage, and that's a really long time commitment. But a lot of the time there is that sense of you save for an item that you need. But let me know what your thoughts are on credit. It's not all bad, you just have to maintain everything and keep an eye on it. Until the next video guys, thanks so much for watching and listening. Take care. Bye.